Look, just because Tommy J wants to dress up in his wife's shit and dance around.
I remember when Jefferson was into dick binding for that summer? You remember that? And you were cool with it, Benny F.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Tether Radio Podcast, the only podcast keeping you from spiraling out into the infinite abyss. I'm your host, Daniel, and I'm joined, as always, by my brother and co-host, Joseph.
Top of the morning.
Dude, what is up, man?
It really never ceases to amaze me how you can fall down the Reddit rabbit hole so quickly.
Yeah.
I got up this morning and I was just like, just take a look and see what's going on, And then it was just like watching public freak out videos and
Watching public freak out videos.
Well, yeah, the subreddit public freak out. No, you've never seen it.
I actually haven't, no. But I'm making a note even as we speak. So
it's pretty good. It's like people like flipping out over a missing chicken nugget, at McDonald's or something. It's pretty ridiculous. But anyway, lots of subs that need to be explored. But yeah, good morning. Good morning.
Speaking of Reddit, dude, have you ever seen the subreddit Thanks I Hate It?
No.
I think it's actually like TIHT or IHI. I hate it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's really funny. It's just people that have created things that it's like just uncomfortable. So
Okay.
It's like somebody had like gave like a banana like toenails or something like that.
Right.
And somebody's like, "Thanks, I hate it."
That's ridiculous.
I just love it, man. But
I've seen the one where they're like, "I hate everything about it."
Yeah. Oh my God. So, how was your week, man?
Good.
Yeah.
Good. Yeah. Just jamming, man. Just jamming. Staying busy doing the thing. And yeah, we'll see. I'm coming at you live from Atlanta, Georgia this morning.
Ooh, nice. Back on the eastern seaboard.
That's it. Taking a look, man. Taking a look.
Rock and roll. Atlanta, damn, that wasn't very far from that's not far from Macon, which was where the rabid raccoon was took place. So
yeah. Oh man. So how's everything going with you? You good?
Yeah, going well, man. Just got my last 2 days of work at the end of this week. Just cruising, man. Just looking forward to wrapping that up and focusing wholeheartedly on some podcast stuff, man. Getting some new properties spun up, get some new hosts on here. It'll be fun. So
It's the wave of the future.
Yeah, exactly.
I feel it. Sir, paddle in, bro.
Yeah, right.
Tuck up, get shacked.
Tuck up. Nice.
Get shacked, bro.
Yeah. Okay. So I just saw the thing that you sent me. That's exactly it's just uncomfortable shit,
Actually, hold on.
Joseph just sent me like a car that it looks like it's fucking inflamed, like not as in engulfed in flames, but it's like swollen.
It just looks chubby.
Yeah,
fat.
a chubby car, man.
This one is ridiculous.
Yeah. Jesus, dude. But anyway, so yeah, dude. I guess without further ado, should we rock and roll?
Let's get it going.
All right. So this first article, like we normally do on the Tether Radio podcast, I normally try to start off a little light with just some random happenings across the nation or maybe world. And yeah, so we're gonna kick it off with some coverage from KIMT3 News, and that's out of what, Austin, Texas? No, this was Minnesota. Never mind. Sorry. Anyway, so let's see. The name of the article was Olmsted County Sheriff. Half-naked woman involved in burglary located in trunk of random man's car.
Okay.
So let me paint a little story of the timeline that occurred in Olmsted County, Minnesota. So a woman is facing multiple charges after authorities claim she burglarized a house before she was located half naked in the trunk of a man's car. So, and it's a man's car, not like someone that she actually knew. So basically what ended up happening is this 29-year-old by the name of Kirsten Hart. She, let's see, it said authorities responded to a burglary in progress at 5:49 p.m. In the Oronico township. Hart was allegedly involved in a scuffle with one of the victims, a 64-year-old female, and had part of her shirt ripped off after she was seen running out of the residence. During the scuffle, a car showed up and the person asked Hart if she needed help or if she was assaulted. That's when Hart decided to voluntarily get in the man's trunk. So the police caught up with the guy, pulled him over, and the driver said he realized something wasn't right, panicked, and didn't know what to do. So he just let her get in his trunk. So, which I'm just like, so this, I mean, you look at a picture of this woman, and like, if this woman ran up to my car, or I'm sorry, this guy pulled over. So if I pulled over, well, probably I wouldn't pull over in the first place. So, but if I pulled over and I was like, "Are you okay?" and she's like, "Can I get in your trunk?" I think that's where the conversation would end. You know?
Yeah, I mean,
So the best part about all of this is she allegedly stole pill bottles, debit and credit cards, $150 in cash, and a fake $1 million bill.
dude, she thought she'd come up so hard.
I know, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. But then
God damn, $1 million.
a million smackaroonies. Do you realize how much crack I can fucking buy with that?
Oh my God, $1 million bill. They quit making these.
But then they found her car. She also had a bunch of stolen iPads from a local STEM school in her car, and but apparently that was actually the doing of one of her other criminal mastermind partners, who was also arrested just because he was the one that actually stole the iPads from the school, but they were just being stashed in Hart's car. So. But yeah, dude, just if you pull over to help somebody and they ask to get into the trunk of your car, I would probably just leave the situation.
Yeah, but I feel like that she's, as far as I mean, I don't know. She's like a homeless 10,
Yeah, okay, I got you.
You know what I mean?
Like, depending on the standards of the dude that pulled over to help her, like, maybe he thought that he had, maybe he thought that the
Yeah, I mean, she's not, like, I could see Kristen Hart being able to talk her way into a trunk.
I could talk her way into a trunk.
I could definitely see
Is that something you throw on a resume?
I think so. What's so crazy though about getting older? Like I remember being, like 19 or whatever, and then watching the NFL games and being like, yeah, it makes sense. They're older than me. You know?
Yeah. Yeah.
But then you get into your 30s and you're just like, what the fuck? Like, how am I older than these people? They're like gigantic or whatever. This is like kind of a similar thing
Yeah.
where, this person is in her late 20s and you're looking at this and you're like, what? Like, what the fuck is going on here?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
how am I older than these people? You know what I mean? Like, it just seems like they just, I don't know. I
Yeah.
don't know. It's a silly thing to think, but you're like looking at this picture of her and you're like, God damn, man.
Yeah.
She's seen some shit.
Yeah, dude.
It's cool.
She's definitely she looks rode hard and put up wet, let me put it that way.
That is one crass way to put it, but yes, sir. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Okay, so tell us a little bit about this Popeyes chicken sandwich here.
Yeah, so
Which, by the way, I caught this before you listed this,
mhm,
or before you threw it on the agenda here today.
yeah.
I caught it because of the Twitter spat.
Yeah, exactly. Like
Um,
Wendy's, Chick-fil-A, and
yeah,
Popeyes.
yeah. So what's the deal here?
So basically, what happened was, and I was gonna start off with the Twitter spat kind of thing in regards to Popeyes put out this tweet that basically they were kind of announcing this new chicken sandwich kind of thing that was basically going to trump all chicken sandwiches, I guess.
Right.
And then Chick-fil-A kind of passive aggressively tweeted out something that it was like whatever chicken bun and pickles or chicken plus bun plus pickles equals love, and it was like whatever, you'll never forget the original or something along those lines. And then it kind of started going back and forth between Chick-fil-A and Popeyes that it was like, oh, whatever, just taking little jabs at each other. Well, so then I found this article that it was talking about this one Popeyes location that was just had basically fallen on hard times in regards to serving the public.
Okay.
So this place in let's see, where was it? It was in Phoenix, Arizona, and let's see, it was like 4 days after the release of the Popeyes chicken sandwich, as in the one that's practically breaking the internet. Chaos continues to reign at one unlucky Phoenix location of the national fried chicken chain. So on Tuesday, a car like randomly rammed the building and fucked up the side of the building and like messed up some of the dining area. So they had people coming to like take pictures of that in addition to the release of this chicken sandwich that brought in way more customers than Popeyes was thinking, or at least for this location. Excuse me. And so what ended up happening was they sold out of the chicken sandwich, but there were still so many people in line. They ran out of food multiple times, as in all food. Like
Okay.
people were waiting in line to get some food from Popeyes from this location, and there was this lady that was interviewed about it. And let's see, on Thursday, she said she wasn't able to get a sandwich or anything else on the matter. She was quoted as saying, I was here last night when they were sold out at the drive-thru, and they had the security out there. They said, oh, we're sold out. We don't have anything. They didn't have chicken or anything. I feel like I'm talking about fucking Chipotle or whatever, because I remember, I think I told this on the podcast at one point, but when I was staying with a buddy in Nashville for some pharmacy rotations, I went to this Chipotle, and like one day that I went, they were completely out of beans, And then like another day that I went, they were completely out of like lettuce or something like that, like some staple item of burrito. And I was just like, who the fuck is managing this place? But
So I like this. Let's see. There's a quote in here from this lady's. She's talking about why her son wants the sandwich.
yeah,
She's like, yeah, it's super popular. All the rappers want it. Like everybody's sold out. Like we got to see what the deal is.
yeah, because this woman drove to like
Is that true?
I
Rappers
don't know.
want.
I don't know if like fucking Post Malone is like fucking, it's the centerpiece for his latest hit or anything like that. But I don't know why, but I just thought of like Ja Rule posted up with like a fucking Popeyes sandwich or something like that.
Yeah.
Even though Ja Rule hasn't been relevant for what, a decade?
Yeah. Ja Rule. I could see Ja Rule being into
Some
into the
Popeyes
spicy chicken sandwich
crispy
for sure.
sandwich, crispy chicken sandwich. Anyway, so oh my god, there was a this lady that we were quoting a little bit ago about her son wanting one because of all the rappers. They were saying that what the fuck.
So there's a website called Celebs on Sandwiches, and it's just drawings of celebrities sitting on sandwiches, standing on sandwiches.
Thank God for the internet. But this lady, she said once she actually found a location that had this chicken sandwiches, she bought 6 of them. And then they said that later on a customer picked up an order of 27 sandwiches. Jeez, dude. I love how this is written in the article. Carrying out the bright orange packages in large plastic bags and causing concerned faces on those still waiting in line.
Yeah, people going, ooh, so close.
Yeah. Hey, man, can I get one of those sandwiches?
Come on, man.
But I do have to say, I kind of want to taste one, but I let the Impossible Whopper fall through the cracks, and I'm probably going to do the same with this because I don't think there's a.
You did not have.
I did not have it. I have not had it yet, but I've actually spoken to multiple people that have had it, and they were like, I mean, it's it's all right.
Yeah,
it's like,
so,
if the standard is the Whopper and you're not that fucking keen on the Whopper, then it's not like it's going to redefine your life because basically they're just trying to make it taste like the Whopper.
Yeah, I mean it's pretty good. I've had it.
Yeah. You have had it?
Yeah. Oh.
Okay. Well, maybe I'll have to go grab one because there's like a Burger King super close to us. So.
Grab you one, man.
grab you one, bruh.
Get in there, bruh.
So the other thing that was kind of funny that I pulled from Yahoo Finance was they were actually keeping up with Twitter followers after all the Twitter stuff, and Popeye's Twitter account increased by 25% in regards to followers after.
What?
Yeah, like they had 100,000, roughly 100,000 Twitter followers, and after like the whatever Twitter battle, the tweet battle between the chicken sandwich companies, they ended up at 138,000. So if they were trying to use this as a marketing thing, it fucking worked. So
They definitely were, and it definitely did.
yeah. But anyway, so I won't belabor the chicken sandwich point, but you wanna cruise on to kind of more of an update than anything about Amazon Flex Pay.
Yeah, absolutely. So a few weeks ago, we covered Postmates, I think it was, and how the Postmates tippings, DoorDash,
Yeah.
excuse me, DoorDash, and how the DoorDash, how the DoorDash tipping scheme worked
Mm-hmm.
in relation to base pay,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So it was kind of the same model as a restaurant, as we discovered, where they just basically use it to subsidize the pay.
Mm-hmm.
Am I summarizing that correctly? I think I am.
Yeah, yeah. So basically, if you're not familiar with it, with restaurants, I think it's like $2.15 an hour that they pay you, and then basically, if your tips don't bring you up to minimum wage, then they have to pay an additional amount to make sure that you are making minimum wage per hour, kind of
Right.
thing.
Correct. Correct.
So DoorDash was basically saying, instead of, hey, you're supposed to make $6 an hour plus tips, if you got tipped, they paid you less in order to make it come down to $6, the like bare minimum, basically.
Yep.
But anyway,
Yep.
so
That's
so
it.
they've actually decided to be a little more transparent with their paying of flex drivers and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Now the thing that I didn't see, I don't use like God, this is ridiculous here. I don't use Amazon
Yeah.
ever.
Uh-huh.
Like I don't know that I've ever ordered anything from Prime
Really?
ever. Yeah, I don't have a Prime account.
Hmm.
I mean I very very rarely
Well, I
order
think you have to have a permanent
things
residence.
online. Yeah, maybe. But I rarely order anything
Uh,
online,
yeah.
which is whatever. But yeah, there's no signaling going on. I'm just saying I
Hmm.
didn't know that you could tip Amazon drivers.
Well, so
Like I didn't know that was a thing. So what, they dropped a package off at your house and then you tip them?
well, see, and that's the thing that I don't really understand, because I don't really get. I think this Amazon Flex stuff is more for like bigger cities kind of thing. Because I've never come across anything in regards to. I mean, Megan and I order stuff off Amazon all the time. We are part of the problem that's killing brick and mortar stores. But I've never seen like a space to put a tip or anything like that. So I don't really understand how this even works.
Right, right.
So I'm assuming that it's probably something along the lines of like the whatever 2 hour delivery or whatever they are slowly rolling out to larger cities kind of thing.
Right.
But I'm just like stipulating because I don't know. But
Yeah, I think that it yeah. I don't know. I mean, what's your feeling? Should they use the pay to cover base tips or not? Or to pay, excuse me, the tips to pay base compensation or not?
so I think it's kind of I don't know. I honestly I go back and forth for the sole reason that if they don't do that, then they're going to have to front more money to their employees, which is going to inherently make the things that you get from whatever company you're talking about or restaurant more expensive.
Right.
So it's kind of I don't know. I'm kind of I hate to say it, but I'm kind of go back and forth because I don't feel like the customer. I don't feel like that should be rolled over to the customer to help like subsidize somebody's pay, like in regards to tips, because I think, I mean, inherently tips are supposed to be in addition to, right, what you're getting paid. You're basically saying, oh well, this person did better than what they're actually getting paid for, so here's a tip,
Yeah, but
right?
it's become a little fucking ridiculous now.
Yeah,
Like you go up to a coffee shop and you grab a coffee and it's like there's this place in LA.
yeah.
You swipe your card or you use the chip on your card and it says what would you like to tip, and the tip starts at 25%. And you're like, no,
Yeah,
no. I mean that's just fucking ridiculous. Like
yeah,
even if it is $10, like you just took my fucking order.
yeah,
You know what I mean? Like there was no that. I mean, your job will be a kiosk in 8 months. You
yeah,
know?
yeah. Well, and the
So
other
no, I'm
thing,
not supporting your exit scam.
um, so something that I've always wondered about, and I guess I haven't wondered enough to actually put any time into researching it. But like, what is a delivery fee? What does that cover? Because
So it's made
normally,
up. No, it's made up. I'm go ahead. I mean they make up what these fees are. And I
yeah,
say that because I used to work for a company that would make up like a fuel surcharge
hmm
fee,
hmm
and it was just like, gas is different in different states and whatever, so we're going to like charge this fee to help pad, the difference in gas prices. I mean, it's just fucking ridiculous. Like these companies make up these fees, like shipping and handling,
yeah.
like
Well,
so you're subsidizing, the company handling the package.
yeah.
It's
Well, and so honestly, I just saw this the other day on Reddit that somebody was complaining about on like I think it was like crappy design or asshole. I think it was asshole designs, but anyway, basically what it was is it was like an Airbnb kind of thing that people would list their places for like 30, 40 bucks, something like that a night. And so you're like, holy shit, that's awesome, 2 bedroom, whatever, really close to the beach or something like that for 30 or 40 bucks. But then there's like $150 cleaning fee or something like that.
right,
you
right, right,
know,
right, right.
which I get it because honestly, it does. I would think that it would encourage people to stay longer.
Right.
And obviously that's less work for whoever's doing the listing because it's like obviously you have one person in there for 5 nights. It's a hell of a lot less work than five people in there for one night each. So,
Right, right.
but it's like I think it's kind of fucking I don't know. It's kind of shady-ish because normally I know the person that posted the thing on Reddit. They were just complaining because the cleaning fee was not worked into the search results. So
Right.
these places were coming back super, super cheap, but then when you really start like crunching the numbers, they're like fucking, $150, $200 a night.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
but I don't know. I think we are moving slowly toward more transparency in regards to like billing and all that stuff. So, but I mean, like you said a second ago, it's going to be transparent, and then there's going to be some other fee that just pops up. It's like fucking cable companies.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, but
Well,
because I mean,
look,
they
man,
will
new
nickel and
new
dime you.
models become old models,
Yeah,
right? I
yeah,
mean, it's streaming is now bundling and becoming cable.
yeah.
You know,
Exactly, exactly.
Uber slowly becomes taxis. I mean,
Yeah.
it's just that's the way it is.
Which, speaking of streaming, for anybody interested out there, excuse me, Disney Plus is going to be launching this fall. And no, this is not a paid advert, but dude, the lineup that they're launching with is kind of fucking insane. Because,
Okay, what is it?
well, I mean, because Disney owns Pixar, they own Marvel Studios, and so they're basically the entire Pixar library is going to be available, like old Disney cartoons and stuff like that, old Disney movies that like we grew up with and stuff. And then in addition to pretty much every Marvel property out there, kind of
Right.
thing. So, and it's supposed to be like I think like $6.99 a month or something like that, which is pretty fucking reasonable considering the amount of content. I mean, like you look at Netflix, and I mean, hell, I've had Netflix for I don't know, maybe like 6 years at this point, and probably longer than that, probably closer to 10. But I mean, as of now, it's kind of hit or miss because if they launch some kind of whatever original content that's not very good, you're probably not going to fucking watch it. Whereas you kind of know what you're getting with Disney, you know.
Right.
But anyway, that's my little spiel because Megan and I were like, maybe we'll think about doing that because obviously we've got a 22-month-old on our hands and he definitely likes cartoons. So maybe it would be worth that $7 a month. So, but anyway, so let's cruise into this next one, dude, because this was actually. We've kind of been keeping this on the radar and the background on the podcast since the start of the podcast. I feel like, and just watching how vaping has come into basically the forefront in regards to people don't really talk about smoking anymore. People are talking about vaping these days, kind of
Right.
thing.
Right.
And now, I pulled this Verge article or the Verge article. More than 100 vapors have contracted a severe lung disease per CDC. So, and I think that number has actually gone up to, I think this other article that I pulled just as a kind of supplemental thing, I think they actually listed it closer to 100 or 200 cases. So anyway, basically what's happened is people using vape devices, or some people using vape devices have come down with this like acute respiratory illness that pretty much it's like shortness of breath. Let's see, what was it? Chest pain, difficulty breathing. They even said a mild to moderate GI illnesses, including vomiting, diarrhea, and fatigue. Which, I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I'd be fatigued if I was vomiting and diarrhea anyway. So,
Wait.
it turns you into a human sprinkler.
Right. Right. Which is taxing. No, but I mean, it is silly to think that there aren't some sort of health ramifications for this. I mean, some of the videos that you see, or not even videos, like some,
Yeah.
people that you're like walking around and, excuse me, they're blasting like this device that's the size of a VHS tape, and it's like you can hear it like rev up like a turbo in a motor, clicking, and it's like, and then they're like. It's like their exhale it's like painful. You know what I mean? Like you see this look on their face, and it's like,
they're suffocating for that few seconds of the inhale.
They're literally they're suffocating in a fucking bag of cotton candy. You know what I mean? Yeah. Or icing or whatever, chocolate fucking icing,
birthday cake.
So I just don't. I mean, I don't see how it's not. There's not something in there that's bad for you. Of course there is.
Well, not only that, but lungs were not developed to vape and smoke. Lungs were developed to breathe. So when you put stuff other than like nitrogen, oxygen, whatever normal gases that you're inhaling that are just on the planet.
Right.
When you're putting other shit in your lungs, it's going to have an effect. Period.
Right. Right.
But the other thing is about this, and I definitely wanted to mention this because from what it sounds like people that are coming down with this like whatever, and they haven't even, and they being the CDC has not even categorized this other than like an acute respiratory illness kind of thing. They don't have a name for it basically because they don't have a cause, a causation for it at this point. They just think that it's correlated with vaping, specifically vaping THC containing products. So what that screams to me is basically a lack of regulation kind of thing. So you have people that are extracting THC oils and stuff in their kitchen, and it's not aseptic
Yeah, but even
environment.
if it is a septic or not septic, excuse me, not septic environment, but because I guess I'm not going to speak to the details of what it takes to produce something up to FDA standard, right? But like
Yeah.
there are like wherever these vape juices or whatever they call them are
Hmm.
coming from, it's probably whether it's China or wherever,
Hmm.
Mexico, wherever. Like even if it does have a label on it and a barcode and look official,
Hmm.
like who the fuck knows?
Well, yeah, and you're right. You're right, because it's just a completely
It's not even a
unregulated
kitchen
industry.
thing, right? It's
Yeah.
just like who knows what's going on.
Yeah, yeah. And so that's why, well, the only reason that I say the kitchen thing is because I would say that at least, like, for instance, Juul, if you're getting Juul cartridges or something, I would say that there is some kind of QA,
Of
for
course,
them,
there's definitely QA, but I guess what I don't understand
Hmm.
is vaping has been around for 5 or 6 years now.
Ish, give or take.
Yeah, how is there no FDA standard?
Yeah, yeah.
Like
And
that's really interesting to me because there's also no FDA standard for nootropics right now.
mm-hmm.
You know what nootropics are?
Go ahead.
It's just like nootropics are drugs that supposedly increase the ability to for your brain to like make connections or whatever.
Hmm.
And they're supposed to be like supplements for memory and attention.
So would you call it a cognitive enhancer?
I would actually call it a
Sorry, I
cognitive
just googled
enhancer.
it.
Yeah, but it's interesting because it's like watching this. This was months ago.
Hmm.
Watching this documentary, this section of this documentary, and this guy's, making thousands and thousands of dollars off of nootropics each month, and he fills them by hand in his fucking kitchen with
Yeah,
with powders he has ordered from China.
yeah.
It's fucking ridiculous.
Wait, so and that's not getting like they don't have that shit under a magnifying glass, like to
No, no,
fucking.
no, no. But I mean, that's supplements, supplements. Um, yeah, man. I mean,
Well, yeah. I mean,
herbal
honestly,
supplement companies don't either.
yeah. No, and you're right. It's basically innocent until proven guilty in regards to supplements and
Yep.
stuff, because they, until there are cases that pop up that it's like, hey, all these people were taking fucking whatever brain enhancer, and they all end up with fucking whatever tumors on their arms, you know. It's like, oh, well, now we're gonna investigate, because it definitely does not have to go through any kind of approval process on the front end. So,
Right.
but anyway, so something else. I wanted to mention this because it was just like really funny. Have you ever heard of scrometing?
No.
So I saw this thing the other day that it was like people have not figured out that, like, THC containing products are extremely potent these days, like to the point to where it's kind of silly. And so people were being admitted to the hospital in these areas that they had recently legalized marijuana or cannabis. and they were being admitted to the hospital with the like a complaint of scromiting, aka screaming and vomiting.
What?
It was the most bizarre fucking thing I've
Because they were
ever
like
heard of.
freaked out. How?
Because they were so high that they were screaming and vomiting.
That's just ridiculous.
It's the dumbest shit ever, but I was like, what a fucking amazing term. Scromiting.
Yeah, but that would be freaky to witness.
Yeah, no shit.
Freaky.
But so last thing about the vape stuff, we officially have the first person to have died from this whatever they've kind of dubbed it vape lung
From chasing clouds.
from chasing clouds, dude. Yeah. So a person died in I want to say it was Illinois. I can't. No. Yeah. It was in Illinois. So, and they just said that he died of some sort of pulmonary illness exacerbated or caused by vaping or e-cigarette use.
Right.
So now we actually have a death toll. So at this point, I would say that I would think that there are some regulations that are definitely going to be on the horizon for e-liquids, for lack of a better term.
Yeah, man. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's so silly that people can.
Dude, it's a big fucking job saving people from themselves.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. People just fucking cannot get out of their own way. You know.
Yeah.
Um,
But yeah, it's just some crazy shit, man. And I'd say that this we will definitely be seeing some regulation come down the pipeline. So we'll keep an eye out and all that, and I'm sure we'll cover it and at least give an update in the future. So
yeah. So what's going on in what is this, Arizona?
so this was Idaho.
In Idaho.
Yeah, Idaho, man, and I'm very interested to hear your take on it. But so basically, what's happened in Idaho? I pulled this one from Fox News. Idaho governor balks after Ninth Circuit puts state on hook for convicts' gender surgery. So there is a person by the name of let's see. Adri Edmo. Okay. And Adri Edmo is currently a male that was convicted of, let's see, what was it? He was convicted, he was serving a 10-year sentence for sexually abusing a 15-year-old boy at the age of 22.
Okay.
So, this is a convicted sex offender. And the appeals court in Idaho ruled the state was responsible for providing the $20,000 to $30,000 procedure of gender reassignment. So, and they said in their ruling that they cited the Constitution's Eighth Amendment protection against cruel and unusual punishment. So this person, Adri Edmo, basically suffers from what they're calling gender dysphoria, I believe. And it's basically someone that is born to one sex, but constantly feels like they identify with the opposite gender, I guess. So the court currently has ruled that the prison system or state or whatever, not prison system, the state is responsible for funding this gender reassignment surgery due to the fact that they think that it's cruel and unusual punishment to have Edmo in prison suffering from gender dysphoria and not address it. So, what I want to hear from you is your take on whether or not you think, do you agree with this? Do you disagree with this? Why?
Yeah, I mean, so there's just something that doesn't sit right with having um, someone commit a crime, and then kind of, get what they want in a certain way, right?
Almost like yell about their rights after they've committed the crime,
Yeah,
kind of thing.
yeah, and so the other thing is, so that's something that just doesn't sit right.
Hmm.
That's number one. Number two, um, I think it's interesting that, okay, so I guess let's tear this apart just a second.
Hmm.
If if you are in prison and you have a um mental condition
Hmm.
where God, this is just so fucking complicated because you were born a biological male
Hmm.
and you feel like that you should be a biological female,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
I don't understand how the state is responsible for that at all. I don't.
Yeah.
That's kind of coming out of the gate. The second part of that is if you are in but then I was going to say, you have a mental illness. Some would say it's not a mental illness, right?
Hmm.
I would say that um, when we talk about people being mentally ill, like you may, I don't know. It's kind of hard to argue that you're a biological male and that you feel like you shouldn't be but then, there's no way to, like, there is a way to prove you're a biological male. There's not a way to prove that you feel like you shouldn't be.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean,
And
honestly,
so,
with any with most mental illnesses, you're going on the patient's word,
so do you think
basically.
this is a mental illness?
I mean, I
When I was stumbling over my thought process there.
So I don't know, man, because you get further down into this article, and obviously, if Edmo underwent this gender reassignment surgery, then they said that they would also be required to transfer Edmo to a women's prison. So you've got. I feel like it would set a really shitty precedent. Let me put it that way. Because
Yeah,
then it's like, okay, well, you did it for them,
yeah. I
and
don't.
that's fucking expensive as shit to somebody that's already acted to the point to where they were a convicted sex offender. I mean, I feel like you kind of I understand the whole like I don't understand how it's I don't know. I don't see how it falls under
Dude,
cruel and
they
unusual
I
punishment.
love I think it's funny how people will reference the Second Amendment and they'll be like, "But dude, the forefathers, this is not what they were thinking, right? Like they did not think there would be, assault rifles and like, these like crazy militias and whatever." Okay, fine, maybe, but they sure as fuck didn't think that there would be like, you know what I mean? Like when they're like
Yeah.
cruel and unusual punishment, and they're like Ben Franklin. Come on, dude. You don't think it's cruel? Like the penis
Look, just
was
because
gone.
Tommy J wants to dress up in his wife's shit and dance
You
around.
remember when Jefferson was into dick binding for that summer? You remember that? And you were cool with it, Benny F. And now you're just gonna sit, yeah, I mean,
Video old boy.
yeah, yeah, that's exactly right, dude.
Yeah.
Exactly right. You know,
I mean, dude, yeah, but those
and
motherfuckers,
you, and you, Paul Revere. You don't, you,
he's like, no, actually, I identify with Paulette
yeah.
or
You,
Pauline.
Paul Revere. You have your butt plug in right now. I can see it poking out the backs of your breeches. It's just
Back of your knickers.
of your knickers. But it's so. I don't know. I don't know. Who knows if this guy's telling the truth? There's no, you can't. you can't empirically prove this, but I think that it is a stretch that the state should be on the hook for it.
And
I,
and that's what I hate about using those semantics that the state would be on the hook for, because it's not the fucking state. Let's fucking call a spade, man. The taxpayers.
okay.
Taxpayers would be fucking funding a gender reassignment surgery for someone that has, in my opinion, forfeited their rights by acting out in society to the extent of what they did. And I mean, I just feel like when you go through our penal system and are convicted of a
Penal.
yeah, I know. I said that and I was like, oh my God, triggered.
When you go through our penal system and
You
it's
want
not,
less penal?
and it's not your penal system, you don't feel like that penal system belongs to you. No, I mean, I'm with you 100%.
You know?
I totally agree. I think that I mean, all of this, we're at this really weird time in society where the confluence of like many fucked up things just continues to fuck things up, right?
Yeah.
But people call it. So this book that Michel Foucault, I'm not exactly sure how to pronounce his name, wrote. He's a French philosopher, Michel Foucault. Discipline and Punish, and it talks about the transition from in medieval times, if you would commit a crime, they would physically brutalize you, and then as we became more complicated as a society, there was this turn towards punishing the mind rather than the body, right? So that's when like solitary confinement and these like this idea of rehabilitation came around. It's like, dude, I feel like we should just go back to the brutality of just corporal punishment at scale.
Yeah.
And it's like, look, a way to really, really keep people from stealing shit is to cut people's fucking hands off if they steal stuff.
Yeah.
Like, I would guarantee
the crime rate would plummet.
Plummet, right? And it's like, yeah, it is brutal, right? But that's the point, is to like keep people from doing it,
Yeah. Well, I feel like we've gotten to a point to where it's like, oh, we want to make sure that we're not hurting their feelings. And it's like, dude, this person sexually assaulted a 15-year-old boy.
Well, and so that's
and was convicted of it. This is not alleged. This is a fucking, they were found guilty.
Well, and so that's the point, right? Is that you are then not responsible for. Well, you're not suggesting that you're responsible for the rehabilitation of, mentally ill people, man. I mean, it's just like, if you're deemed to be mentally ill, we should also have asylums. What the fuck? I mean, we use jails like asylums.
Yeah.
And that's it. And I'm not suggesting that. I'm not suggesting that gender dysphoria is necessarily like a mental illness, in the sense that, like, when I think of the term illness, I think, okay, well, this is like, something that is not only abnormal but can be corrected. And I think that it is very possible that in the infinite potentiality of like the way that your brain can fire, the way that your neurons can connect or whatever, that you could be, you could feel like you're a woman in a man's body. I don't know if that's repairable or if that's what, I don't have a thought on that. Right? I'm just saying it could be a legitimate thought, is what I'm saying. And it's like, if you feel like that and you want to take, these measures to do the other thing, That's fine.
Yeah.
Right? I don't give a shit. Do whatever you want. But I think to, put that on the taxpayers is a little much. That's a stretch for me.
Yeah. Well, I mean, in all actuality, this is gonna sound probably pretty terrible, but sorry. Um, when you are convicted of a crime and everything, I feel like the only extent to in regards to health care that prisoners should receive is enough to make sure that they're alive, remain alive.
Yeah.
Because once their quality of life, fuck their quality of life. They forfeit that when they committed whatever crime that they were convicted of.
Right.
And so it's I am definitely 100% against this because I agree with you that this is not the fucking state's problem, dude. This is not the taxpayer's problem that this person feels this way or whatever. Now, I know that sounds extremely callous, but I just think that I think that it would set a precedent that we would not be able to undo. And once you fucking, once you pull the plug out of the dike, dude, that water's coming. So you can't put the plug back in. So.
Yikes. Pulling the plug out of the dike over here. Spooky.
But
all right.
Anyway, we can we won't belabor the point. Let's figure out how we want to deal with crimes in space.
Yes. It's pronounced Spake. But yes.
Spake crimes.
So the very first crime in space may have been committed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So Anne McClain,
Mm-hmm.
who is an astronaut, is estranged from her spouse, Summer Worden. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And when Anne McClain was in space, she was accessing some of Summer Worden's bank accounts, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which would mean that she was basically pulling off a type of identity theft.
Mm-hmm.
So, here we go. That's the first. That's the first. That's
Space
the
Force.
First crime in space. I think that it's it's really interesting from a excuse me from a I don't know, just kind of theoretic standpoint, and it's like, oh, okay, space jails and the era of Star Trek justice has started or whatever.
Yeah.
But I think there actually is precedent for this in the way that we handle crimes in international waters. I was thinking about this yesterday. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's probably a pretty good precedent, right?
Yeah, she's functioning out of the ISS, right?
Functioning out of the ISS, yeah. But she's an American citizen, I think. Mm-hmm. So I am pretty sure the rules and regulations of the United States are gonna kick in here. But it's an interesting idea. Mm-hmm. For the first crime in space is identity theft.
Yeah, for sure, man.
So yeah.
But so she said she was just accessing the accounts. Is that
that was
there was no actual like wrongdoing or something?
No, so she was let's see. The astronaut told the New York Times through a lawyer that she was merely making sure that the family's finances were in order and there was enough money to pay bills and care for Miss Worden's son, who they had been raising together prior to the split. So yeah, so she was just accessing the accounts. It doesn't sound like she was transferring money or anything like that. But
so do they have Western Union space?
They do.
Just in case she was short on funds.
They do. But it's on Moon Portal 15, which yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah, dude. But I feel like this is less interesting. Between two humans, and if we would have had, like a Hal up there, that was hacking into people's bank accounts, and maybe would have been a little bit more interesting. But
Yeah, yeah,
anyway, there's your first alleged crime in space. So
yeah.
we'll see what happens there.
Huh. Rock and roll. Well, yeah. Well, we'll keep an eye on that shit and see if anything comes of it, and what kind of charges would even be brought against her, if any, and whether or not they'd stick. So.
They'll stick. They've got a real hawk prosecutor on this one.
Nice. Um, so yeah, so let's move on to this next one. I pulled this one from CNN, and for some reason it's not loading. That was weird. So just another example of how fucking terrible advertisements have become online. Literally, this ad, I could not see the title of the article because this ad would not go away. There was no way to like X out of it. It had already run, all that shit. I'm telling you, dude, like advertising is breaking the fucking internet. So anyway,
Yep.
that's my rant. So um so yeah, I pulled this one from CNN. Vegan parents whose strict diet left baby, quote, severely malnourished avoid jail. So there is an Australian couple, and they did not release the names because I'd say there'd probably end up being like a fucking witch hunt for them because this is super fucked in my opinion. But anyway, so both the mother and father are in their 40s, and they pleaded guilty to failing to provide necessities in life and causing injury to a child. The couple were sentenced to an 18-month jail term to be served as as a community order. So I'm assuming 18 months community service kind of thing. Is that
Yes.
okay? So basically what happened, and to for anyone out there that's not familiar with pediatrics and growth charts and shit, I can shed a little bit of light because our fat little nugget, he's 22 months old. So you're looking at a 3 month old difference between Finn and this child that we're talking about. At 19 months, this kid in Australia weighed 10.8 pounds. So Finn, who's 3 months older than this child, is probably right on the cusp of 30 pounds. Okay? At 19 months, I would say he was probably around 25 pounds-ish, something like that. So this kid is about 15 pounds underweight kind of thing. And obviously my child's perfect. So I use him as the gold standard.
Right, that's right.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. He doesn't fucking miss any meals. So he's eating us out of house and home.
Right.
So this is where it gets really fucked up because people don't realize that kids, obviously their nutritional requirements are substantially higher than adults, because there's so many things developing in them. So medical tests revealed that this child's bones had not developed since birth. They had not done anything since birth.
Wait, what does that mean? They had not gotten bigger?
Like, yes, the child was basically, the growth was like completely stunted kind of thing. Her growth was so stunted, and especially in regards to like calcium and all that, she had not developed any teeth at all. So at 19 months,
and they had just not taken this kid, obviously not taken to this kid to
the kid had not received any medical care since birth.
Huh.
Or gone to the doctor, no checkups, no nothing, no vaccinations, no like nothing. I mean, dude, at 19 months, Finn had already had like probably, I don't know, 6 to 8 vaccinations, maybe more, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And so, oh my God, it's just crazy. And then they were talking about the diet of the kid. the kid was only fed oats, bananas, peanut butter jelly sandwiches, and rice. I just don't. I mean, I feel like these people are getting off way light, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
And
I don't see how that's possible.
this was the other thing, and this is why I don't really understand why they didn't receive. I don't know. Honestly, thinking about it on the fly, it's one of these things that it's like, okay, well, these people are obviously completely negligent parents, or at least they're not. They do not have the child's best interests in mind, in my opinion. But then it's also one of these things like, okay, well, if you take the kid from the parents because they're fucking idiots, are you, as the kid, are you doing more harm than good for the child?
Right.
And I don't know, but so the let's see, who was it that was quoted on this? I think this was whoever was the judge that was overseeing the case, Judge Sarah Huggett. So she called the child's diet completely inadequate, and then she said this is not the case of an isolated act or omission or a momentary decision made in pressured context that led to a danger of serious injury to their child. Neither offender was particularly young, immature, uneducated, or inexperienced as a parent or caregiver to young children. So the judge is saying all this shit and then turns around and gives them 18 months community service.
Is the kid died or no?
No. The kid, let's see, the little girl, now age 3, has been placed under the care of a relative and has reportedly made progress in her development. So she's been vaccinated and is undergoing speech therapy and physiotherapy, according to the 7 News that was interviewed from CNN or whatever.
Right.
So I mean, it sounds like she's on the right track, but what kind of irreparable damage did these fucktards do to this child by literally stunting her growth for the first 19 months of her life?
Yeah, a lot is the answer.
Well, yeah. And so I mean, it's like, it's one of these things that it's incredible to me that there are so many illnesses and stuff out there, and there's so many healthy babies to only be put in the hands of people like this that are just, I mean, just fucking stupid. I mean, this is not an ignorant thing. This is just stupidity,
Yeah.
But anyway, I don't know. This one was kind of near and dear to my heart, and I was, because obviously since I'm a father, yeah, it was one of these things that I was surprised that the people got off that easy, and just fuck, man, the kid didn't have any teeth at 19 months. That is just outrageous.
Yeah,
So.
yeah, but I mean, this is I don't know. This is why you cut hands off.
That's my story that I'm sticking to.
But I think it is a little bit absurd making dietary choices like that for your kid. I feel like it's fairly well documented what kids need. I don't know, maybe not.
Well, plus the thing is if these people were taking their kid to the pediatrician like they should have been on the schedule that they recommend, kind of thing. I mean, this would have been addressed at literally probably a month, if not earlier, kind of thing. Because I think that we had to go, our first pediatrician appointment, I think either had to be, I think it was a week after we had gotten out of the hospital, something like that.
Well, but the food that they were my goodness.
Damn, dude, are you on the set of Fast and Furious or what?
Goodness. Fast and Furious 10. Yeah, Atlanta Knights. Um, what is happening right now?
Dude, Vin Diesel, fucking like pipe down, bro.
Good God, I can't wait to go see that Mitsubishi Elantra. See what they've done to it. I don't even know if that is a Mitsubishi, but you know what I mean.
Yeah,
All right, here we go. Moving into the home stretch.
yeah.
Twitch suspends popular leftist streamer after controversial 9/11 comments.
Hmm.
So Dan Crenshaw,
Hmm.
who
That was actually kind of why I pulled it because I know that you were going on about how you dug Dan Crenshaw and his
I
kind of
do
his.
I do like Dan Crenshaw. I do like Dan Crenshaw because I think Dan Crenshaw. I mean, and even though I should like qualify this, right? Like I like Dan Crenshaw a lot, but the reason I like Dan Crenshaw is also the reason that I think the reason I like Dan Crenshaw is because he pursues the same, well, kind of similar tactics to AOC, and I think that that the brand of AOC, that is I do believe that is the new politician.
Yeah, no, I will.
100%.
Yeah,
And I think that
I would
like
agree.
no matter whether you agree or disagree with AOC, that is the template for the new politician for sure.
Yeah, her approach and everything is fucking spot on.
Yeah, it really is, and I think that it is. Who knows if she's backed by other people or whatever. I'm sure she is to a certain extent, but the way that she's utilized social to scale in the way that she has been pretty impressive. And I think to a lesser extent, Dan Crenshaw, does that. He's actually not as good at it. But anyway, so there is a show called The Young Turks, and there's a guy on The Young Turks. It's kind of a more left-leaning, political commentary. But there is a guy named Hassan Piker who is on The Young Turks, and anyway, so he was responding to Dan Crenshaw being on the Joe Rogan podcast. They start talking about how Crenshaw, who was a former SEAL, had served in Afghanistan, and Crenshaw made this is from the article, made the assertion that prior to 9/11, bin Laden had no reason to hate America except our Western ideology, describing that hatred and the acts that followed as irrational. And so Piker, who said his response, he was pretty upset by this, and he said that, that's insane. He said after watching that portion of the interview, Piker followed this with his statement about how America deserved 9/11. We fucking totally brought it on ourselves, dude. We fucking did. Holy shit. Look at the way this dipshit is running his fucking mouth, justifying genocide right now. So, Piker was suspended from Twitter for saying this.
Or no, from Twitch.
Twitch.
Yeah.
I could not disagree with them suspending him more.
Yeah.
It's bullshit. You can't do it. We have been on this show, we have talked numerous times about Alex Jones. I'll defend Alex Jones till my last breath, man. He should be able to talk about gay frogs and do whatever the fuck he wants. Piker, should be able to say that. Like, you can't, like, it's just...
Well, it's censorship, man.
It is. And, this is what's effing crazy about it. Like, people on the left should be incensed. They should be beside themselves that this guy can't make some gnarly comments and continue to have his platform. It's total bullshit.
Yeah.
and so what's interesting is like this article just reframes the whole thing, right? And it's like,
Hmm.
should he have said that and whatever. The reality of the United States is that we have what's known as a hegemony, right?
Hmm.
And um, do you know? So hegemony is. I'm just gonna quickly look this up. It's basically influence, leadership, and influence, right? But it is over leadership and influence, and this is coming from the definition, over one country or social groups, right?
Hmm.
Social groups over others. And so that's what we have. We have a hegemony here because that's what there is an order to the world. There's
Hmm.
a pecking order to the world, and the freedoms that we have in the United States and that we continue to have in the United States are largely because we are still independent and can determine what those freedoms need to be for ourselves, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so, yes, every single state, every single nation state, rather, let me be more specific, in the world would love to have this hegemonic relationship with the others.
Hmm.
Bullshit to anybody that thinks that anybody feels any differently,
Hmm.
right? Whether it's right or wrong, I don't know. That's a totally different conversation. But I think 100%, like if you looked at Uzbekistan
Hmm.
and you said, hey, people of Uzbekistan, would you like to be the wealthiest country in the world? Would you like to have the largest economy? Would you like to have the largest I mean, everybody's going to check every single one of those boxes, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just, and even if countries are saying, nah, we don't really, of course they do. Of
Yeah.
course they do.
Yeah.
It's just there has to be order, and there's no way that people are just going to link and kumbaya, link arms and kind of kumbaya moving forward. And so my point in
Hmm.
saying this is, as we try to influence um, different policy around the world, there's some nasty shit that goes down
Yeah.
without a doubt. And what the CIA terms blowback, there is blowback from that, where
Hmm.
you do things like, you know, Iran Contra, right, under
Hmm.
Oliver North and Iran Contra, right, where he's like funding these, through weapons sales, is like funding this guerrilla war or whatever, right?
Hmm.
It's totally, in shit. Where were the Contras? They were in. Why am I drawing a blank on this?
Iran.
No, 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 no. The Contras were in Panama, I think. Let's see. Let me double check this. Yeah, hang on. Is it Panama? Hang on. Iran Contra affair. Bear with me just a second. Um, Nicaragua, excuse me,
Uh,
Nicaragua.
okay.
And so they were just funding this guerrilla, warfare in Nicaragua.
Hmm.
And so anyway, and then the winds of the world shift, and the way that the world is influenced, shifts. And then in the 70s, for example, the Russians. So I think it was the 60s and 70s. The Russians were in um, Afghanistan fighting the groups that would become, the terrorist organizations that have achieved power in the
Hmm.
90s and 2000s,
Hmm.
right? And then it's like when Russia pulled out, then we stepped in. Like Russia,
Yeah.
Russia was in Southeast Asia, basically fighting the Vietnam War before the United States stepped in to fight the Vietnam War. So it's just, you know, policy and just the way that the world shifts, and the way that what's the word I'm looking for, political the political lines shift so
Hmm.
quickly and alliances shift so quickly, and you think you're funding this one thing and you're not, and it's not. I guess my point is, it's not untrue what this guy said. We have absolutely funded terrorist organizations that have then attacked us. Fact. But I think that's beside the point. I think this is really a free speech thing. And if this guy wants to say we deserve 9/11, yeah, it's fucking gross, but he should be able to say it.
Yeah. No, I completely agree, man. I think that it's just like you said, man, just as much as I think that this guy deserves a voice out there on whatever fucking platform that he chooses to use, be that through tweets or photos and Instagram or Twitch. I think that these are all public forums, I guess, at this point. And so in order for the people running these platforms and everything to choose what is appropriate and what is not appropriate to say is just, it really just boils down to censorship. So
yeah, man. And it's not good, and it's especially not good that this is happening on the left, and that people aren't just having an absolute conniption fit over it. Like that's the thing that I really don't like, because people on the right have been kicking dust up on about this, and I just think people should generally be upset. No matter, this is not a partisan issue. Mm-hmm. Like the Twitch should not fucking decide what can be said and what can't be said.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
Here's another call, right? Like we're gonna make. We made the call a while ago that different types of UX and UI user interfaces and the user experience that they seek to accomplish. We made the call that those would be legislated, right? Mm-hmm. And it kind of looks like that's happening through a bill that we covered last week. Mm-hmm. I think the next call is, man, without a doubt, social media and some of these sites, they get defined as infrastructure. I don't see how they don't. And a public utility. Yeah. And once they're a public utility, there's some shitty things that come along with that, but also there's maybe a level of enforceability of being able to use a public utility in a way that is more protected by the amendments, right? Yeah. Rather than saying this is a private company and, well, truthfully, they can restrict whoever they want, but the reach that they have is so insane that it's sure. Technically, they may be able to restrict what they want, but should they be able to? Yeah. And so anyway, it's about that time.
I think so.
Shoot us.
Hard stop.
So shoot us comments, questions, everything in between. tetherradio@gmail.com. That's TETHERRADIO@gmail.com. Twitter @tether_radio. Instagram @tether_radio. Facebook Tether Radio, all one word. One quick note before I let you go here, Daniel, and we let these dear sweet listeners go. Did you see this shit with the Instagram star in Nashville who faked the motorcycle wreck?
No.
My God, I'll leave you with that. You got to take a look at it.
Yeah, I'll check it out.
These pictures of her just being like, I went down and I'm just glad, I'm just concentrating on my own healing now and blah, 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 blah. And you're like, look at these pictures. And they're fucking, sure, I guess maybe it can be argued that, she always has a professional photographer in tow, but it's fucking absurd, dude. It is absolutely absurd. So there seem to be some examples of some photoshopping and shit. Yeah, people are flipping her, so take a look. But anyway, so this is episode 63. Episode 63.
That is right, isn't it? 63.
Yep, I think you're right.
63. Yep.
Right, episode 63. So you have been listening to Tether Radio, episode 63. We appreciate you lending us your ears and brainwaves here for a little over an hour and a half. It's been a hell of a time with you. I'm Joseph.
And I'm Daniel.
We are reminding you to stay tethered, dear listeners. We will talk to you next week.